Today we are going to discuss about some topics from Module 5, Best Practices for Software Development. The topic is Pragmatic Approach. The subpoints comes under pragmatic approaches includes levels of duplication, orthogonality, reversibility, tracer bullets, prototypes and POSIX nodes, domain languages, and estimating. The very first point is the levels of duplication. Every piece of knowledge must have a single, unambiguous, authoritative representation within a system. Always keep in mind the DRIVE principle, that is, don't repeat yourself. Because in this topic, we are discussing about the side effect of the duplication. So always try to reuse the information if it is already available. So let us focus on the principle, don't repeat yourself, that is DRIVE principle. Most of the duplications we see fall into one of the following four categories, that is embossed duplication, inadvertent duplication. Next two categories are impatient duplication and inter-developer duplication. So let us discuss about the first category, embossed duplication. The developers feel that they have no other choice without duplicating a same piece of information or source code. So the developers feel that they have to duplicate the same, that is embossed duplication. The second category is inadvertent duplication. Developers don't realize that they are duplicating a same piece of information. That kind of duplication is known as inadvertent duplication. The third one is impatient duplication. Developers get lazy and duplicate because it seems easier. For example, consider a situation. Someone already wrote a class called X in some another directory, and the same have a method for managing login activity also. So I have a clue about the class X and its method, but I don't know what is its exact class and method names and spelling. So if I have to manage a login process as part of my currently developing source code, due to my laziness, I will be wrote those 2 or 3 line of source code for login process, because in my viewpoint, due to my laziness, it is easy to duplicate and rewrite those line of code other than going to that directory and confirm the class and its method names and spelling and reuse the same in my source file. So the developers duplicate the source code due to their laziness is known as impatient duplication. The fourth and the last category is inter-developer duplication. Multiple people on a team or on different teams duplicate a same piece of information. That kind of duplication is known as inter-developer duplication. It may happen due to that they are developing a same piece of source code at the same time without knowing that each one is developing the same code. It may happen. So that kind of duplication is known as inter-developer duplication. Okay. The second pragmatic approach is orthogonality. What is orthogonality? Orthogonality is a term borrowed from geometry. Two lines are orthogonal if they meet at right angles, such as the axis on a graph. In vector terms, the two lines are independent, that is orthogonal. So consider this graph. If you are moving an object parallel to its x-axis, its y-axis value that won't change. It will be same. Then we can say that the movement of the object along one of the lines, that is along the x-axis, doesn't change its position projected on the y-axis. So let us consider the orthogonality concept in terms of software development. Orthogonality is a critical concept if you want to produce systems that are easy to design, build, test, and extend. Once you learn to apply the principle of orthogonality directly, you will notice an immediate improvement in the quality of the system you produce. If you are developing a software, in our development process, we follow the concept of orthogonality, then changes in one process do not affect any other process in our software development. In a well-designed system, the database code will be orthogonal to the user interface. For example, we have the freedom to change the user interface without affecting the database coding, and the reverse is also applicable. And we also have the freedom to sub or upgrade databases like MySQL to MySQLi or MySQL to MariaDB without changing or affecting our user interface coding part. Okay, the above mentioned case is applicable only if we are following orthogonality in our development process. When we following orthogonality in our software development process, we will get some advantages. The first advantage is gain productivity. Gain productivity means we will get more productive time in our software development process. So let us discuss how we will get more productive time in software development by following the orthogonality concept in our development process. So when we are following this orthogonality concept, changes are localized. So the development time we took and the testing time we also took to do certain process are reduced. So we will get more productive time to do next another task. The next point is an orthogonal approach also promote reusability concept. So if we are following the try principle, that is don't repeat yourself principle, we will get more productive time to do some important task in our software development process. If we are reuse some component which have specific well-defined responsibilities, and they can be combined with new components, so that we can save some amount of productive time and suddenly move to next task. There is a fairly subtle gain in productivity when you combine orthogonal components. For example, assume that there is one component that does m distinct things and we have another component that does n distinct things. Okay, if they are orthogonal and you combine them together, the result does m into n things. So we can save some subtle amount of productivity time. Otherwise, we have to do and spend more amount of time to do that m into n things. Okay. However, if the two components are not orthogonal, there will be an sure overlap problem and the result will do less. So the next advantage is it can reduce risk. By following the orthogonality concept, and this is the section of code are isolated. If a module is sick, sick means in the sense there will be some errors generating from that module, or the scope of the functionality, that is the requirement may be changed. So the scope of the functionality may be expired. So that means if the module is sick, it is less likely to spread the symptoms around the rest of the system. So it is also easier to slice it out. That means we can change that particular module and transfer in something new and healthy module into that place, so that the resulting system is less fragile. So make small changes and fixes to a particular area, and any problem you generate will be restricted to that particular area only. An orthogonal system will probably be tested better because it will be easier to design and run tests on its components only. So the next pragmatic approach we are going to discuss is reversibility. Okay, requirements, uses and hardware change faster than we can get the software developed. Okay, we may face the changes, several kind of changes during our development process. Okay, the basic idea of reversibility is that anything you do should be reversible. We have to keep in mind that our plan, the project development plan, the testing plan, the software coding plan, anything will be reversible in the future. As a software developer, while you have to follow a specification of your code, you don't want to make decisions that will not be reversible in the future. So keep in mind that there are no final decisions in the software development process. Flexible architecture is one of the important points comes under reversibility. We need to maintain flexibility not only in the code but also in the areas of architecture, deployments, etc. For example, consider is the performance of Java on a platform like a production environment is not up to our expectations. What we can do for that is that means we have to develop our project from the scratch to change the platform. No, it's not needed. We can record the client in any other platform which will perform well up to our expectations. So if C++ is apt, we can record the client in C++ and nothing else need to change. If there is something that can be changed in the future, try to hide it behind an abstraction. This way you can change the implementation or the technologies below it without any major impact. The next pragmatic approach is tracer bullet. The idea of tracer bullet development or TBD is to have the very first version of the software go all the way from end to end. We can connect the concept of tracer bullet from to the concept we already know, that is a prototype. Okay, so let us discuss in detail about tracer bullets. The purpose of a tracer bullet is to examine how an end-to-end process, that is from the start to the end of a process, will work and examine its feasibility. Okay, normally we are applying tracer bulleting concept when we are dealing with a situation to create something new or existing but complicated process. So tracer bullets and prototypes are similar in that they are both used in the same situations. Like already mentioned that we are using prototypes and tracer bullets in the situations where we are creating something new or an existing one but a complicated process. But compared to prototypes, tracer code is not a disposable one. We all know that prototypes is a disposable idea or disposable item. It's created for projecting and get clear idea about the components or software modules which we are going to develop. Once you get a clear idea using that prototypes, we will not use that prototypes in the real situations. Okay, we just keep it away or we dispose it, and from the scratch we are creating a real system. Okay, so tracer code is not a disposable one like prototypes. You write it and keep it in the future also. It contains all the error checking, structuring, documentation and self-checking that any piece of production code has. And tracer code is not a fully functional one.